guess people are coming. Good job. Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in Prescott. Whether you're here online, happy holidays and welcome. Know that you're welcome here just as you are. Speaking of just as you are, I want to make an apology. I want to apologize to the congregation and especially to the people at our annual meeting last week. I let my anger and my frustration get the best of me, and I lashed out in defense of all the people that work so hard on our bylaws. I'm sorry for my behavior. It wasn't appropriate. Today, we have a special Festival of Light service. We're changing the order of our service, so we hope you enjoy it. Next week, we've created a special Christmas service for your enjoyment. And don't forget, on New Year's morning at December 31st, 5 a.m. here at CSLP, we're hosting a World Peace Meditation. This will be in conjunction with our friends and neighbors from Unity. So we hope you'll please join us at 5 a.m. Please check your bulletins for upcoming events. Blessings to all of you, and have a great day.
Thank you, Tom. We appreciate your words, your sharing, and being here together is a wonderful thing. And again, as Bob Jocelyn often reminds me, you all should be able to be up here and see all these faces. Bob can't be with us. He's working today, so we won't have a signing. But just know that you are the face of God. So I'm Karen Rader, one of the practitioners and one of the service planners for this day, and it's different today than usual. Have you noticed? We're all doing different things, and we didn't have a pre-service meditation. But we could never leave out meditations, so I am going to be the person leading us today. I first of all, again, welcome all of you to being here with us. It's glorious to be here, and we love the way you show up in your uniqueness. We don't have to be like everybody else, but we can show up in the light and love that we are in our very own unique ways. And today is a special service, a service of lights, a festival of lights, which is also unique and creative, just like we are. We are celebrating solstice, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. So thank you for being with us in this newness of this day and how we share. And for those of you who may have seen Scrooge or will see Scrooge, I felt there were two big messages. Scrooge is at the Prescott Valley Arts Center, the Main Street Theater, as they call it, and it's wonderful, and our very own Jackson and some other people from here participate in it. But two main messages at the very end of that powerful play, and one is begin again. So every moment we begin again, and this day we begin again of showing up as love in our own unique ways. And the other thing is to like life. And when we like life, we like each other and we live our truth 24/7. So thank you for joining me in a pre-truth 24/7. So thank you for joining me in a pre-service meditation, which is a bit abbreviated, but I'm going to do the loving kindness meditation. If you just kind of relax into your seats, allow yourself to feel fully supported by the chair and by Mother Earth. The Center for Spiritual Living lifts us all in peace and wholeness. So, easy breaths in and out. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be free from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body, heart, and mind. May I be peaceful and truly happy. And let's breathe that into our own hearts. May I be filled with loving kindness. And for those in need today, may they be filled with loving kindness. May they be free from suffering. May they be free from inner and outer danger. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. And may they be peaceful and truly happy. True happiness. And for those we love and we're close to and we care about and we know deeply, may those we love be filled with loving kindness. May our loved ones be free from inner and outer danger. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. May those I love be peaceful and truly happy. And may those I casually know, that I barely see on the street, that I pass by in a car, that I know exist out there, but I may not know them, may they be free from suffering. May they be free from inner and outer danger, and may they be filled with loving kindness. May they be peaceful and truly happy. And for those I have felt negative or discord with or distance with and want to be close, I say to them from my heart to theirs, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be free from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body, mind, and heart, and peaceful and truly happy. And for all beings everywhere, those I have mentioned here today, of those I love, those I barely know, and those who I may not understand, may all beings of this entire planet and universe be filled with loving kindness. May all be free of inner and outer danger, and be well of body, mind, and heart, and be truly peaceful and happy. So, with these seeds planted in our hearts, we can imagine little spark lights coming from our hearts to envelop this entire world. And let us do that now for another moment before we close. Love, joy, and peace lights the way in every moment, in every day. And I say to you, namaste, and see the light within you as you see it within all of us. And just notice it today as you meet eyes with another person, you are seeing the face of God.
Sing this with me. You are the face of God. I hold you in my hand. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in
And there are many, many faces of God, besides just who's here today. And as such, we celebrate the other many, many religions that are out there with just a sampling of them. So if our candlelighters would come forward. The Center for Spiritual Living honors all faith traditions. As we light a candle for the world's religions, it is to acknowledge both our multiplicity and our unity.
We light a candle for Christianity based on the teachings of Jesus the Christ. Got a frog in my throat. Who taught the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within.
For Islam, the practice of submitting to the will of God as revealed to his prophets, peace be upon them, who taught that there is one God, creator of the heaven and the earth. That there is one God, creator of the heaven and the earth.
For Judaism, a community of shared laws, traditions, and family ties, which began with a covenant between Abraham and God.
For Buddhism, the middle path
and God.
For Buddhism, the middle path that ends suffering and awakens mindfulness and compassion.
For Hinduism, the path of knowledge, action, and devotion.
For Native American traditions and those who walk the Good Red Road, including the people of the sun, better known as the Yavapai.
For Baha'i, the path of unity and peace.
For the goddess traditions, embracing the divine feminine as maiden, mother, and crone, or wisdom keeper.
And for the science of mind, which is the philosophy of life that teaches there is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it. Thank you, ladies. Now I want to introduce John Haas, who is going to talk to us today about solstice. John is one of our practitioners, and may I say he's a really cool man.
And we can round out our tradition of the candles with our own affirmation, which I think might have been up on the screen briefly. But please join me in saying, we are here for God. Our purpose is to express the nature of God as love, abundance, and joy in everything we do. The good we seek for ourselves is what we desire for all people everywhere. And what a great lead-in to solstice. Because people have been thinking about this for a long time. Because the sun's been in the sky for a long time. Longer than humans, according to everything we know today. And it dates back long before we actually wrote down the things that we spoke about. We didn't have PowerPoint and Word. We hardly even had tablets. And so some of the things that we did came down through storytelling. Because fundamentally, humans are storytellers. We love to tell stories, and one of the ones that was throughout almost all civilizations was the story of the seasons. And so you probably remember one from your early history in childhood. How about anyone remembers Demeter and Persephone, perhaps? And so it's at this time of the year when the nights are the longest, the days are the shortest, that Demeter was the most sad. As she had lost her daughter to the underworld, to the darkness. But she knew now that with this darkness, light will return and her daughter would return. So this was just one of the many myths that were handed down over the ages. But we know that this story predated the Greeks of a couple thousand years ago. And we may not know, but today we understand a lot more about the solstice because the Earth orbits around, tilted at 23 degrees, and that wasn't a recent discovery. The ancients already knew it, they just didn't have quite the accuracy that we have today. But 1,000 years, or actually 3,000 years before now, 1,000 years BC, geographers already had a way of measuring it by looking at the sun's shadow on the Earth. And so they knew about this tilt even though they didn't quite understand on the Earth. And so they knew about this tilt even though they didn't quite understand what that meant. And that tilt is now seen from space. These photos from space really show it. At the equinox, half of the Earth is lit vertically, and hence we all have 12 hours a day of sun and darkness. But in the north, in the winter right now, you can see how the upper part of the Earth is veiled in shadows, and any of you have been above the Arctic Circle, it's a quite dark and cold time this time of year. And so we've known about that. So hibernation, a time to rest, all of these things are part of that tradition of this time of year that we've been sharing, and humans have celebrated because they know there's light, there's hope coming just around the corner. Now, of course, the word solstice, if you've looked it up, means the sun stands still. And you go, what the heck? The sun doesn't stand still. Every morning it rises in the east, it sets in the west. But if you'll notice, because of that tilt, right now it's as southerly as it's ever going to be for this year. And it's rising, and then over time now we'll start to see the sun march north. So for a few days, around December 21st, 246 to be exact, the astronomers love it down to the second now. Exact. The astronomers love it down to the second now. The sun will reach its southernmost place in the sky, according to our view from the Earth, and start to march northward. So it's standing still from that point of view. And there's a great picture of that if you are an old-fashioned observer and you had the wisdom of your elder astronomer holding your hand, and you were asked to write down where the sun is every day in your little logbook, you would see this picture, so-called analemma. And so at the very bottom of it is where the sun stands still in its southern trajectory and then starts to head north. And it makes this beautiful figure in the sky if you are patient. Set up your camera just right, take a photo at just the same time, 12 noon or whenever you choose, so that you can see it all year round, and take that picture, and you wind up with this image of the sun in the sky. So this is a way that the ancients knew this, but of course they didn't have, their little iPhones and Androids to take the pictures. They just recorded it on paper and made this figure. So it's pretty remarkable what was already known thousands of years ago. But much of that is lost. It's not written down because they didn't write. They, as I said, they told stories, but they made monuments. And one of them was the monument that we know of as Stonehenge. And can you imagine figuring out how to raise 13-foot monoliths of rock, putting stones on top of that, and lining them up so that at the various points, the equinox and the solstice, the sun shines down and hits the various rocks at exactly sunrise. On the winter solstice, one of the stones is lit up and held right there for a moment. And then, of course, it moves on because the sun, the earth, the whole universe is constantly changing. But they weren't alone, the Celts in northern UK, what we know of as the United Kingdom today. The Inca also celebrated the sun. And so they have rooms where on the winter solstice, which happened to be in June for them, right? Because they're in the southern hemisphere. Be in June for them, right? Because they're in the southern hemisphere. And they had a huge golden orb monument of the sun, and on that day the sun came down into the room and lit that golden orb to show off that they understood the importance of this time of year, the longest night. So in the Roman tradition, they celebrated what we call Saturnalia. And at the time, it started as only a single day. It was a pagan religion. But the Romans, being the Romans, expanded the festival. And by the time about 100 BC, it was a week long. And so they would go into this tradition, and they would eat more than they should. And much like probably we do around the holiday, but they didn't have to gain weight. Don't worry about it. They were Romans. So it grew in importance until about 400 AD, when Christmas took over from the solstice. And so the pagan died out, and instead we have embraced what we see a lot today. Now there's plenty of others. Yule was one that was given the name in the kingdoms of the north, the Norse people. And the celebration included chopping down a big old log, lighting it up, and therefore keeping the light going while the night was so dark. You needed to have something that was going to continue into the darkness and bring light to all of the people. So you can see the many ways that solstice has been celebrated throughout the years. But no matter what, it's because there's this circle of light or circle of life that is so important to humans, because it tells us when to plant, when to go to sleep, when to hibernate, when to harvest, and in the winter, when to get over our SAD, the solar affective disorder, if any of you suffer from that. And we can say, oh, hope is on the way because the days are going to start getting longer. And so St. John said, behind all of this, God is the light, in which there is no darkness, the true light which lights every person in the world. And so our ceremony today is going to include all of the ways that the light comes back to us, shining through us. So Ernest Holmes, who was our founder, remarkably thought about this infinite symbol. Gee, does that look familiar? Of course, I tilted it to make it look like the analemma. But it's that same sort of lemniscate, or figure eight, that we see in the heavens. And he said, the circle of life is a symbol representing the infinite, the first cause before it moves into manifest form. So we are that manifest form. We are that outreach, and the song said it all. We are the face of God. So it's great to know that we're in a long line of lineage of humans that have celebrated this time of year. And so one of the things we can do is we can celebrate with a great song, one of my favorites, to remind ourselves that here comes the sun.
Sing this one with me. Here comes the sun. It's not in the. It's not on the screen, but the words are do 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 do. Try that again. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, lonely winter. Little darling, Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. It's amazing, isn't it? Sun, 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 here it comes. One more. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright. It's alright.
And here does come the sun. So John kind of started us off with what was happening with the ancients, and it still happens today. And next came Hanukkah. And Hanukkah is also called the Festival of Lights, and it is a winter holiday that is celebrated by Jewish people around the world. In the year 164 BCE, as we say, before Christian era, the Jewish people revolted against King Antiochus because, as John was talking about, they went through a period where the king wanted everybody to pray to their gods, and the Jews only prayed to one God. So they were asked to stop praying. Their lands were taken away, their homes, they were put into slavery, and the Jews rebelled. And one of their leaders, Mattathias, he said, no, we're not doing this. And so he and his 5 sons rebelled and fought back the troops. That was just one battle. There were many more battles. But the Jews went up into the hills and they learned to fight. And they called themselves the Maccabees, or Hammer. And they had many battles. And in the end, they won. And the army was defeated, and in spite of the fact that there were a lot more of them than the Jews, but they returned to Jerusalem and needed to rebuild the temple because it had been desecrated by the troops. And so in the process, they fixed up the temple, took the gods that they had put in it out and so forth, and got it all fixed up. And then they were ready to dedicate the temple. But they discovered they only had enough oil for one day. The oil was meant to be an eternal light to shine. But they only had enough for one day, and they decided we're going to light it anyway. And the miracle was that the oil lasted for 8 days until more oil could be made. And that is what we call the miracle of Hanukkah. And that is why Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days. Hanukkah is a fairly minor Jewish holiday. We have much more important ones. But it has become a more major holiday because it falls around Christmas, more or less. The Jewish calendar is different than the Roman calendar. And so it always falls the same on the Jewish calendar, but because that's not the same, it might be the middle of November, it might be the middle of December, might even be a little bit later. So, this year, Hanukkah begins at sundown tonight, and will run for 8 nights and will end at sundown on December 26th. So we fall right through where Christmas is. Once the candles are lit, one tradition is to give presents or a present to the children. Another is to play dreidel. And there's some more dreidels out there if you want to look at them. The dreidel game has become a children's game, but it originally was not. When the soldiers did not let the Jews pray as they wanted to, they would go into hiding to do their praying, and if the Roman soldiers, or whichever ones they were at that time, came along, they would be playing dreidel and betting. It's a betting game, or a betting activity. Now we mostly just use it as a fun game, and you will see that there's chocolate coins out there that we would play with and then eat, of course. The foods other than that are served for Hanukkah tend to be fried, and that is again in honor of the oil that lasted for 8 days. So we have potato latkes, which are potato pancakes fried in oil. We have donuts, which you will see out on the table when you go out there, and then whatever else around the meal. So this is a celebratory holiday, and it is called the Festival of Lights. So I'm going to light the candle. Right now, there's only one candle lit because this is the first night of Hanukkah. This is called the shamash, and the shamash candle is the helper candle. So you light the shamash, and then you say your prayers. And the first night there will be one candle, the second night 2 candles, and so forth. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechad ligner shel Hanukkah. Amen. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by the commandments and commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah lights. Thank you. And now we will hear from, now we will have a song. And this song, if you're not familiar with it, just sing along. Yes, it is. Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather all around and give us a treat.
It'll come to play with
Thank you, Jackson. And now you can all have a little rest. While Sharon introduces us or shares with us about Kwanzaa.
Yes, Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is an African American and a Pan-African celebration. It's a celebration of light that celebrates family, community, and culture. It's a cultural celebration, not a holy one, not a religious one. It was created in 1966 after the Watts riots in LA, California. It was created by Dr. Maulana Karenga. He was a professor of African Studies at Cal State University, Long Beach. And it was created as a response to the commercialism that he saw in Christmas and to welcome the first harvest to the home. It is a 7-day celebration that begins on the 26th of December and ends on January 1st. The word Kwanzaa comes from the Swahili phrase matunda ya kwanza, which means first fruits. And that concept draws on the South African first fruits celebration. The celebration culminates with a communal feast, and it is called a karamo. The basis for both the symbols and principles for Kwanzaa come from the Nguzi Saba, the 7 principles of African heritage. There are 7 symbols for this holiday. The first, there's the candle holder that is similar, as you can see, to a menorah, and it, however, is called a kinara. And it holds 7 candles in the African colors of black, red, and green. The candles are called Mishuma Saba, and they symbolize the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. First, we have a makika, which is the placemat on which the kinara is placed, and it symbolizes the laying of the foundation for self-actualization. The kakumba cha umoja, which is the unity cup, is used to pour libations to the ancestors. Then there is the vabunzi, which is an ear of corn, and then there are the fruits and vegetables and nuts that symbolize mazao, which are the crops. One of the candles in the kinara is lit each day, and those candles are Mishuma Saba. On December 31st, there is a big celebration with a banquet of food. Gifts called zawadi are also exchanged on this day, and the celebrations include often songs, dancing, African drums, storytelling, and poetry reading. Dishes such as collard greens, candied yams, spoon bread, groundnut stew, jerk chicken, rice, beans and rice, Cajun catfish, and all good foods. And guests greet each other with habari gani, which is Kiswahili for how are you or how's the news with you. During Kwanzaa, families and communities organize activities around the Nguzo Saba, which are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And each day, a candle on the kinara is lit that symbolizes those principles. On the first day, the black candle known as the unity candle is lit. And as I said, the candles are black, red, and green, as these are the colors of the African American people. And this was designated by Marcus Garvey, a civil rights leader, in order to unify the people of African descent globally. The black candle symbolizes the people themselves. The red candles are for the struggles and bloodshed. And the green candle represents the earth, or abundant possibilities ahead. And so if we could see the slide about the 7 principles. Okay, I'll go ahead and I will let you know about the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. First, there on the first day, it is emoji, which means unity. And this is to strive for and maintain unity in the family community, the nation, and the race. And that's when the center black candle is lit. The second day is Kujija Guliya, which is self-determination. And this is to define and name ourselves, create and speak for ourselves. And so the first red candle to the immediate left of the black candle is lit. The third day is Ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. This is to build and maintain the community together and make others' problems our problems and to solve them together. First, green candle to the left of the black candle is lit on that third day. The fourth day is Ujama, which means cooperative economics, and this is to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Red candle. The fifth day is Niya, which is purpose. This is when we set personal goals and think outward to look at goals that benefit the larger community also. That is green candle. The sixth day is Ka'umba, which is creativity, and there's focus upon improving and bringing beauty to the community through that creativity, whether it be art, dance, music, or literature. And that is the red candle that is lit. And finally, on the seventh day, it is Imani, or faith, to believe with all of our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. And this is a day where the last green candle is lit. And so, I'm wishing everyone love and light during the time of Kwanzaa. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. So you've got a little bit of history, a little bit of information that I hope you enjoyed. And I just want to say one thing before we go on, that all these little snowflakes that you see in the back or up in front here were made by our children, by the Children's Association of Awesomeness, and so we thank them. So now is the time for the offering, the time when you give support to the center. You help us keep the lights on, and you help us continue to have food for you and thrive. So if the ushers would please come forward. The love offering can be placed in the bags that they have, or there's a box outside, or many of you I know do this online. Thank you. And if we can say the affirmation together, if you'd like to place your hand over your heart, you may. And together we say, divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, life. Thank you, Kathleen. And so we bless this and know the abundance for everyone, for the center and for every single person in here. And as we give, so it comes back tenfold. Thank you. And now, as many of you know, we have an interim rabbi. There you go. Would you like to be an interim rabbi? We have an interim minister, and that's our beloved Reverend Kath, and she is now going to speak to you.
That's a first. So it's an amazing morning, very different, isn't it? All of these three have done such a great job. Everyone's done such a great job. So some of you know that I just got back from Egypt. And the ancient Egyptians, of course, did celebrate the winter solstice as well. And they were celebrating, of course, like everyone else, the victory of light over darkness, because that was going to be the first day where it's, starts getting lighter. And it was a moment of renewal, and then it was leading to rebirth. So that's what they were about. And I would like to just share a couple things before we get into our candle lighting and welcome the Children's Association of Awesomeness joining us. I'd like to introduce this idea of light and in a different way, starting with the call to prayer, which is the Adhan. And so Clay, if you would just... So this call to prayer is something that they do, as many of you might have heard, 5 times a day. So, we started off in the city of Cairo that had 20 million people. And so when you hear this call to prayer, it just hit me. I'll speak for myself. It just hit me at a very, very deep level. It's like it's primal. It just opened me up in a way that I can't even tell you. This was a retreat that I went on for ministers, and it just was something just unbelievable. You cannot not feel, your heart is just opened up at such a deep level, and you can't help but feel, a connection to a greater life. With just being in the presence, and also just this is known as the birthplace of modern humanity, and it's the birthplace of an ancient civilization that was advanced, and in many ways knew so much more than we appear to know today. And so you couldn't help but feel a groundedness, a rootedness in something greater. I felt like I was connected to something greater than I have ever felt before. And so, nothing else mattered. Nothing mattered at home, what was going on. Nothing mattered in the world, because something greater was happening in me. There was just something greater happening in me. And so at the last day, one more story. On the last day, we had a private showing of the Great Pyramid, and we got to go in at dawn before dark. And I have to tell you, if it wasn't for the light, them having it lit, there are some passageways, and it's like a 45-degree angle up into the Queen's chamber and the King's chamber. And there are some very tight places. I mean, there's some you're really crouched over, and it feels close. I won't say the C word, because I'm saying I healed it. But you feel very close. And so by the time we got to the Queen's chamber, which was quite up there, it was hard not to feel out of breath and to feel, a little bit of tightness, and we were trying to regain our balance. And so if it wasn't for the lights that lit our way, and one of the ministers started singing, And that song just, I don't even remember what it was, but the importance of music, it just settled us. It calmed, I'll speak for myself, it settled me, it calmed me, it allowed me to really enjoy the moment. It was an incredible moment. How many people get to be, in the king and queen's chamber of the Great Pyramid? And it's just so out of this world that you have to, really focus on where you're at and what you got to enjoy. Well, that same light, that same music is right here in this room. It lives in us. These lights are all reminders to us of the light, the greater light within ourselves. That music, just resonates within us. It reverberates, and it just opens us up. And so, as we light our candles today, as we're gonna be singing, let's know that all of these wonderful celebrations, all of the ones that were not mentioned here today, that all of these celebrations and ceremonies are there for us. They're there for us to get a greater idea about ourselves, to really know that there's greatness within us. We come from greatness. We have good roots. We come from the infinite, the eternal. And so knowing that, we can let our light shine. We can open ourselves up and let that light shine. So we're going to begin by passing out the candles.
John?
And we have some candle lighters that are going to begin lighting the candles. And it probably is a good idea to stand for this, and so that everybody can be very careful. But this is a light that really shines within you all the time, and we're going to get to enjoy that light that's lit from our unity candle. I think we need more candles in the back. So join along. I am the light in this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. So just take a moment to appreciate that light within you. And take one last look around the room at all of the lights before we blow our lights, our candles out, not our lights. Aren't they beautiful, all those lights? That's who we are. That's who we really are. So I'm going to invite you to, before they get any lower, to blow your candle out. And we're going to close a little bit different. We're just going to close with a blessing, and then you're just going to, when I say "and so it is," you can just quietly leave the room and check out some of those snacks and goodies. So let's know this together. May the people in this room, may all of the people everywhere know that they have chosen to be here now. May all of us, may all of the people everywhere know that they are here to have a spiritual experience as a human being. May we, and may people everywhere, give birth to that light that is shining within them. They are all lit. And may we and people everywhere know that we are always tremendously loved and supported. Loved and supported. And may all of us and all people everywhere have the courage to shine their light, not just during this season, but for all time. For all time. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Thank you, Universe, for this amazing morning. All is truly well. We are blessed. And please say together with me, "And so it is." Thank you. Thank you.